Okay, so today I want to make this workshop as helpful as possible today, because I know a lot of you guys have been putting out content, you have been having conversations, and you just seem like nothing's happening. Like, why is nothing happening? We're going to try to fix a lot of that stuff today. And so today, I really want you guys to focus on, what am I doing wrong? What is not hitting with this strategy? And so we're going to go over the entire discovery call accelerator strategy kind of from start to finish. But what I actually want to do is I want us, as we're going through each step, if you're like, this is the bottleneck, Laurel, this is where I'm stuck, I want you to tell me in the chat. I have the chat open right now. I want you to tell me like, hey, this is where I believe that I am stuck. And so we're going to try to solve as many problems today over the next 90 minutes or so as possible. Does that sound good? Does that sound good to everybody? Cool. So what I'm going to do is we are going to rock and roll. I'm going to share my screen on my iPad. Awesome. Cool. One thing that I want to pull up is the chat so that I can see the chat. Awesome. Okay. So this is one of the first places that I see people make mistakes whenever they are trying to book calls, whether it is through their content, whether it's through a funnel, whether it is through conversations in Messenger, whether it's over the phone. How many of you guys have ever talked to someone and you're like, this is not my ideal client? Let me know. Like, how many of you guys are talking to a bunch of unqualified people, in your opinion, unqualified, right? Because I think a lot of people think that people are unqualified, but people lie all the time. People lie all the time. They lie to get out of the conversation they don't want to be in, honestly. Okay. So, okay, cool. So a couple of you guys are experiencing this problem. Okay. So this is what you need to be able to identify. Okay. We're going to, like I said, we're going to start solving problems right now. You need to be able to identify, when it comes to your audience, who's above the floor and who's the ceiling. Okay. So what do I mean by that? Okay. If you are ever talking to people and you're like, these are not my peeps, you're talking to people who are below here. We do not want to market to these people. We want to market to the people who are in between the ceiling and the floor. Now, what does that mean exactly? Okay. So for me personally, if we're talking about my Lean on Laurel program, the floor that I'm willing to take someone into the program, like the minimum thing that they have to have is they at least have to have a validated offer. If I am talking to people about Lean on Laurel and they don't have a validated offer, meaning they haven't sold it at least 2 or 3 times, I'm marketing to the wrong people. There's something going on with my content or my value bombs or my conversations that's attracting people who haven't validated their offer. I'll give you guys one of the mistakes I made early on whenever I first launched Lean on Laurel. And this is something that Nick actually helped me fix. I was saying, I'm going to help you launch your ad strategy, right? And I kept telling Nick, I'm like, man, I was like, I'm getting a whole bunch of newbies who've never used the ads manager before. And he's like, well, stop telling people you're going to help them launch their ads. Tell people you're going to help them fix their ads. That one word made a huge difference. Do you see what I'm saying here? And so a lot of you guys aren't able to identify your floor clients and your ceiling clients. My ceiling clients, honestly, if they come into Lean on Laurel and they're already running a VSL or a slow funnel and they're spending upwards of 5K plus a month on ads, this is my ceiling. Like, if these people come into Lean on Laurel, they are getting quick results as soon as probably like 24 hours. It's freaking crazy. But that's why they're my ceiling clients, right? These are the most ideal people that I can help. But guess what? I can help anyone in between my floor audience and my ceiling. If someone comes to me with a validated offer, I can help them in that program. If someone hasn't validated or sold their offer, Lean on Laurel in most cases would probably not be a good fit. So right now, I want you to really think about it. Who are you marketing to right now? How many of you guys have identified your floor or ceiling audience? Is there anyone who's struggling, right? So Tad just asked the question, does the floor ceiling conversation apply to an e-commerce business or something like an e-commerce business? For example, if I'm a business selling mugs or t-shirts, well, Tad, today we are going over the discovery call accelerator. So are you selling your products over the phone? So that's why this lesson might not pertain to those of you guys who aren't selling over the phone, right? That's why it's called the discovery call accelerator. And I'm not picking. I just want to make sure that that everyone here is trying to sell either over the phone or through conversations. But if you are selling mugs and t-shirts over the phone, I guess, you would sell them over the phone. I really honestly like maybe like a SaaS product. So there's some custom shirts that my sister does. Yeah, then if absolutely, we always want to know who is our ideal clients, like who are we selling to, right? You know, I work with a lot of fitness businesses in Lean on Laurel. That's just who maybe it's because I'm on my own fitness journey and that's just who I've been attracting a lot lately in Lean on Laurel. But this is like one of those discussions that I've been having with a lot of people, because a lot of people in the fitness industry, they're like, well, I can help anybody. And I'm like, but who do you want to help? Like, who are your most ideal clients? Like, I've got people who are helping, you know, stay-at-home dads, you know, drop their dad bod. That is a very specific pocket of audience. Like, think about this, right? If you're in the fitness space and you're helping stay-at-home dads drop their dad bod, those people are going to have very different problems than dads who are CEOs of companies who are trying to lose weight, right? Does that make sense? Oh, there we go. That's a very different pocket of people. And so if we do not know who we're talking to, that's a problem, because then we can't create content that is going to be relevant to them, right? If we're talking to women over 40 who are trying to lose weight, that is going to be a very different conversation to a college student who's just trying to drop the freshman 15, right? And so that's why it's super, super important that we understand who we're actually talking to, okay? So that's problem number one, okay? Doesn't seem like anyone has that problem. So let's go on to the second problem that I see among students, and that is their inability to answer this question. What problem do you solve? Okay. In the chat right now, I want you to tell me, what problem do you solve for your audience? And I know there's a lot of you guys who have heard me ask this question, and this is your chance to be a rock star for everyone else, because 9 times out of 10, when I ask this to people who've never talked to me before, 9 times out of 10, they can't answer this question. Okay, so TC says cash flow for business owners so they can stay open. Okay, so let's rephrase that. I solved the problem of blank. Bring in more calls without raising their ad costs. Reframe that. That is what you do. Like TC, cash flow for business owners so they can stay open. That is what you do. That is not the problem you solve. Jessica says time and frustration. Be more specific. That is very broad. What is the problem? Can we solve multiple problems? Yes. But what is the so Patricia, I help them create a webinar that is not a problem you solve. That is what you do. See what I'm talking about? Like, so many of you guys cannot answer this question. Like, what problem do you solve? A lot of you guys want to say, I help so-and-so. That is what you do. What is a very specific problem that you solve? So for instance, I solve the problem of the inability for business owners to scale without diminishing returns. Most of my clients, when they try to scale their ads and add more budget, they get diminishing returns. That is a very specific problem. Yep, Amanda nailed it. She solves the problem of not being able to find and convert leads into wholesale deals. Lori says the problem of not knowing what to do on Monday morning to market their business. That's okay. I would challenge you to be a little bit more specific. Let's see, Mike says many women considering divorce are stuck in indecisions because they're afraid of making a mistake they'll regret. I will give you guys a little bit. If you open this with say, I help so-and-so, you've already answered the question wrong. Let's see, partner shutting down and not communicating. That's awesome, Jesse. Nailed it, right? I solved the problem of not being able to pay for inventory. I do not know what that means. Lindsay says land six-figure job offers without submitting job applications. That is what you do. That is not the problem you solve. Like what is the specific problem that you guys are solving? There we go. Bring in more booked calls without rising ad cost. I help them get new clients. Guys, if you answer the question saying, I help, you've already answered the question. Do you guys understand the difference between a problem you solve and what you do? Sales workflow chaos. That is not clear. What does that mean? I'm already seeing the problem. If you guys are not booking clients, this is where we need to spend some time with today. I solved the problem of overpaying taxes to the government. Good one, Stefan. Let's see. I saw the problem of customers not coming back for the second, third purchase through email marketing. Using Illustrator to create designs to sell. That is not a problem. That is what you do. I solved the problem of not being able to stick to a diet and fitness routine that fits someone's hectic schedule. Getting closer. I solved the problem of knowing with certainty whether to divorce or not. That's what you help them do. I solved the problem network marketers running out of prospects. Good. Sandra, good. I solved the problem of using GoFundMe to pay, of not using, no, that's what you do, right? That's not the problem. The problem isn't they're not using GoFundMe to pay for funerals. The problem is probably they can't pay for a funeral. You see the difference there? Does everyone understand the difference between what you do and the problem that you solve? Like Ainsley says, I solved the problem of stores not listing your food product. Okay, cool. So now we see, right? Very, very big issues with people not being able to identify the problem that they solve, right? And so for instance, right, like I'll use a lot of fitness examples because like I said, I work with a lot of fitness. Like what problem do you solve? Like, you know, like no time to go to the gym. It's a very specific problem, right? No time to meal prep. Not counting macros correctly, right? Those are all very specific problems, okay? So right now, I want you to just sit down and just like list 3 very specific problems that you actually solve for your audience, okay? Now, next step, right, is being able to identify several problems that you solve, okay? Because here's another issue that I see with so many people. They write an ad, and that one ad is focused on that one problem, right? And so one of the things that I see with so many people is they'll tell me, Laurel, I am targeting like 1.5 million people and my ads reach is only getting about 200,000. Anyone ever launch an ad and you're like, my audience size is like 1.2 million, but my reach is only 200,000, right? The reason that that is happening is, let's say we're targeting, I'll just use Russell Brunson, right? Let's just say Russell Brunson, the owner of ClickFunnels, he's targetable, right? He is one of the most popular targets for the online marketing space. If I am trying to target Russell Brunson's people and I only put out one offer, let's say this is his entire audience, one offer is only going to reach this many people, one very small pocket, right? You ever heard people say every time I raise the budget, I get diminishing returns, right? Ever try to scale an ad, and the higher that you scale the ad, the more diminishing returns you get? It's because you're not putting out enough ad angles that solve enough problems for that audience of people that you're actually targeting. True scale is being able to scale creative and come up with different angles. Okay. Now, this is super important for what we're talking about today, because if you want to reach your ideal clients, you're going to need to identify several problems that you solve, right? So if I solve the problem of diminishing returns every time someone tries to scale a VSL funnel, right? There's likely several problems that are causing the inability to scale this funnel. Their close rate probably sucks. Their webinar numbers, enough people aren't watching the webinar. Probably enough people aren't opting in. Each of these offers needs to identify a different problem. This is why whenever you are going to launch power offers, you should have a different power offer for everyone in between your ceiling and your floor audience. This is how you're going to be able to maximize the amount of people and ad spend that you're reaching with your ad spend. Does that make sense? And so that's why it's important for us to be able to identify, well, one, who are we talking to? And two, how many different problems can we solve for that same group of people? And so that's why when people say something like, I'm going to help coaches go from 0 to 10K, that offer isn't effective anymore because people have seen that offer over and over again. How can we help stand out in a sea of a lot of competition? Is, well, list all of the problems that are keeping people from hitting that 10K mark. And so each one of your pieces of content are going to solve one very specific problem. Okay. Everyone understand? Does anyone have any questions before we move on? Like, these are super important, right? So let's see. Rosati says, when you launch a power offer, is the offer specific towards one problem, or are you trying to show you solve multiple problems in one offer? Or would it be wise to use multiple? So that's exactly what I'm saying. Solve one problem, very specific problem. I'll actually tell you guys an example of this, right? And so I had a client who came to me with an automation offer. Like, they were basically automating the entire business process so that they can scale and hire team members. And they tested power offers in the traditional way, where they were just trying to solve the problem of scaling a business by hiring employees, right? I had that person break down that entire offer into 15 overall problems, and we launched each of those problems as power offers. The number one power offer that converted was, I am going to write an SOP for a very specific task, guaranteed in the next 24 hours, and give it back to you. You see how literally that was one very small problem that we ran a power offer for, and guess what? They solved that very small problem and were able to easily upsell people into their entire program. So this is what's important. This is the work right now that will allow you to stand out in a sea of people who are all offering to solve the big problem, right? And so Lindsay said they had to create each one of those offers, or was it just a test to see which delivered? The offers already existed within their program. Does that make sense? Most of you guys already have offers that exist right now in your existing program. right? Like I can pull out so many things out of my Lean on Laurel program and run them as very specific offers, right? Like the power offer validation test. I can literally pull that out of my Lean on Laurel program and just run that as an offer to get people into LOL. I can pull out my DM funnel and run that as a very specific offer. Hey, do you want to validate your offer and talk to at least 100 of your ideal clients every single week? Right? Drop a line below this video. Like these are all very specific offers. Yep. Amanda hit it. Each phase of your methodology likely solves a very specific problem, right? So one of the things that I actually do for when my Lean on Laurel clients come in, what I actually have them do is I have them do an exercise, right? Like what is the overall problem that you solve, right? So for me, if people are running a VSL funnel and they're stuck at 2 times their return on ad spend, that is the overall big situation that they're in. For example, like if you are going to help someone go from 0 to 10K a month, right? That is an overall situation. What I would then have you do is break that overall situation into 3 big problems that are keeping people stuck, right? And so for me, if I'm trying to help people solve the problem of diminishing returns on a VSL funnel, the first big problem that I probably have to solve is having an optimized funnel, right? That's probably the first thing. Then I would probably have to help them set up retargeting to plug the black holes of the funnel, right? Then what I'm going to do, these are the big problems, right? You have a situation and then you can break that up into 3 bigger problems. Then this is where the magic is right here. If you guys understand what I'm about to tell you, you will win. I'm telling you, you guys will crush the content game going into 2025. In order to get someone to have an optimized funnel, what are the steps that I need to take? Well, I have to help them with their close rate. I have to help them get more applications. I have to get more webinar plays. I have to get more opt-ins. I have to help them with their ads. So each of these are going to be where your offers, your value bombs, and your power content pieces, this is where they're going to be. So a lot of you guys are trying to create content around too big of a problem or too big of a situation. And that's why you're running out of content. And that's why you're not really reaching anyone. Because when you say, I'm going to help someone go from 0 to 10K a month, okay, can you be more specific, right? So what are the 3 big problems that you're helping people solve, right? So Lindsay just says, like, one of my tiny steps is getting clear about where their zone of genius is that is marketable for today's job market, right? That might be big problem number 1, but then that is going to be broken down. What are the tiny steps in helping people figure out what their zone of genius is? That's, I guarantee you that is not just going to be one video. That is probably going to be a couple of different videos, right? This is basically just breaking down your customer journey, right? Yeah. Lindsay just says, I think you gave me 200 video ideas. Yes, exactly. That is honestly the biggest hurdle that most of you guys need to get over is, 1, who are you talking to? What problem do you solve? And then breaking down your entire methodology and framework into all of these micro problems, because this is where your offers are. Yep. Let's see. Pharaoh says, for me, I would educate on how money is saved and why it's not effective to create wealth. The problem isn't money, but how they save. That is the big situation that they're in. You still need to break those down into 3 big problems and 3 to 5 micro problems underneath each of those big problems. Okay. Does that make sense to everybody? How many of you guys are having like aha moments right now? Like every time I teach this, like I get people, like I always watch people's faces. That's why I love whenever you guys turn your cameras on, because I see people like going, oh my God, like hitting their head. Like at my event when I taught this, I had so many people like do a big whenever I did this, and I knew immediately the room had resonated with what I had just said. It's so funny whenever people have like that realization. Lindsay says, dude, I have been on this step for forever and it's finally getting through. Awesome. That's why every single time I teach all of my workshops, I teach it in a slightly different way, because sometimes drawing things out and explaining and using real examples helps better than just me going through a bunch of slides that you guys have seen over and over again. Right? So awesome. I'm so glad that this is helping. Okay. So now we're going to get into the fun stuff. This is where people at my events, I had one girl who literally was like, I'm about to start crying whenever I went through this exercise right here. Because here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. Most of you guys are not running the right type of funnel for the budget that you have and the volume of conversations that you need. Okay. So here's why traditional funnels just don't work for most of you guys who are sitting in the room. Like, if you have less than $2,000 a month to spend in ads, any type of traditional sales funnel will not work. Okay. And so the Discovery Call Accelerator, we're going to go over an alternative type of funnel that's going to help you get more conversations, more booked calls with a budget that works for you. Okay. Now, here's what a traditional funnel looks like, right? You usually have an opt-in page, you usually have a webinar play page, or maybe you have a slow funnel. It does not matter. I just want you guys to understand this principle, right? If we're paying $2 to $3 per click, right? Which, by the way, in some niches, this is more like $5 or $6, which is really, really like, I mean, it's just the reality. If we're going to send 1,000 people to this, let's just say VSL page, okay? If we send 1,000 people to this VSL page, industry standard says that only 20% of people are going to opt in, okay? So we just spent, if we're paying $2 to $3 a click, we just spent $2,000 to get 200 people to give us their names and email, right? So already that is a huge black hole. We're paying for traffic, right? 200 people opt in. Industry standard says 40% of people are going to hit play. We're not talking about watching the webinar. We're talking about hitting play. So already we have gone from 200 people opting in to only 80 people hitting play on that webinar. And by the way, if you have a live webinar or a live workshop, the numbers go down even more, okay? So now we have 80 people who have hit play. Well, only 8 to 10% of people are going to make it to the end of that webinar, okay? So we're talking about 8 people seeing your offer, right? Because just because people press play on the webinar doesn't mean they see the offer. So you just paid $2,000 for 8 people to see your offer. 10% of that will apply. 10% of 8 is less than 1. So you're talking about spending $2,000 for a whole bunch of people to go through a funnel for only 8 people to see the funnel. I mean, 8 people to see the offer. Do you guys see the problem with this? I had a student who came from, I'm not going to mention the program, but came from a high ticket program. And she had spent $5,000 on a webinar funnel. And she was like, Laurel, I've got $10,000, $10,000, $11,000 in my savings account, and I'm going to use that to drive traffic to this webinar. And I said, please don't do that. She was so convinced, though, that this webinar was going to work. And so she poured about 10K into this funnel, and she was getting opt-ins for about $6 or $7. And so she decided to push her budget to 11K. So she had over 1,000 people opt into this webinar. It was a live webinar. She had about 20 people show up live and 0 people bought. That's a lot of money to dump into something to have 0 people buy. Here's the problem with this, right? We have a black hole here and we have a black hole here. 2 of the biggest black holes in any type of marketing funnel. it just makes me so sad to listen to tell this story because it's so freaking sad, right? Like over $10,000 went into this funnel for no one to see the offer, no one to buy the offer, right? Super sad. And so this is why I do not recommend this to people unless you have a considerable amount of budget. What do you think happens when you do the same with a slow funnel, right? Which is a self-liquidating offer funnel, which is typically a low ticket offer funnel. I think people think because you're selling a low ticket offer, it's actually easier. Actually, low ticket offers are the hardest in the internet marketing space to actually sell, because what do you need in order for people to buy the offer at the end of the funnel? You need volume. If you have low cash flow and you can't send enough people to the end of the funnel, you're not going to ever break even. And this is why a lot of times people run out of money before they even get enough people in the funnel to even know if their offer is even valid. And so that's why I like to do what I'm about to show you guys, right? But does everyone understand why funnel math doesn't work for most people who are trying to run them? It's really messed up that more people aren't upfront about telling people how expensive running funnels actually are. Super expensive, right? Funnels are a bunch of friction, right? And so that's why my ads ecosystem is made up of 4 sequence funnels, okay? Now, Mike Fink asked a really great question a while ago, and I'm going to reference it right here because it's very fitting. He says, Mike says, this makes a lot of sense for power content, but aren't power offers supposed to be different from power content? No, it's all the same. Power offers are making an offer for you to fulfill on what you're teaching. Power content is just showing them how to do it. It's all the same. No matter whether it's power content, power offers, value bombs, it's all the same. Okay. So this is why my ecosystem works so well. Okay. Because it's made of a series of 4 sequence quote funnels, right? Because here's the thing. Funnels are just a sales process. That's all a funnel is a sales process. I think when most people hear the word funnel, they think of a traditional like click funnel, right? Landing page, opt-in, all of this stuff. Well, that is what we're going to use here when we're trying to sell an offer, right? And put a pin in that, okay? My ecosystem works really well because we've got goodwill content, which is our power content, right? Which is a funnel in itself, right? We've got your headline gets people to the promise of value, that gets people to the video, that gets people to the value bomb, that gets people to a conversation, right? It's also a funnel in a way that the headline gets people to the promise of value, that gets people to the video, that gets people to the invisible list, that gets people to an offer later on down. You see how that works? Power content is designed as a funnel, okay? So that's the first part of my ecosystem. The second part of my ecosystem is made up of intercepting conversations. Now, if we quickly go back here, right? I told you guys one of the major black holes of the funnel happens right here after the opt-in. All we're doing here is we're going to intercept those leads in order to have a conversation using a 2-step, which is basically just putting out content, getting comments, and getting people into a DM conversation. Okay. And then we have our retargeting content, which could be boosted posts, are things like the Hot 7, which lead to your application page. So this is why my ecosystem works so well, is because it's not only dependent on one leaky funnel, we're actually using a series of sequences, which are like little funnels, in order to plug all the major black holes. If we look at this black hole, power content plugs that. If we look at this black hole, we've got our boosts, and we've got our DM funnels to plug that hole. Then there's this other hole back here that we can use something like the Hot 7 to plug. Does that make sense? That's why my ecosystem works so freaking well, is because it's built around a traditional funnel. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we are actually going to pull out two of the ways to have conversations with people the fastest. Okay. So if we look at the 4 sequences of my entire ecosystem, what are the 2 ways that we can have conversations the fastest? Well, we've got a DM funnel and we've got this offer funnel. Okay. But instead of using a traditional funnel, we have 3 different types of funnels here. Okay. So I'm going to erase this So there's 3 different types of funnels that we could actually use. And so if you guys go inside the program, you're going to see that there are 3 different types that we actually use. Okay. We've got something that's called a fast funnel, which is basically the 2-step funnels, right? That leads people to a conversation. We've got the power funnel, where we just state the power offer and get people right to the application. And then the VSL slow funnel, which is the one we just went over, that traditionally probably doesn't make sense for most of you guys, right? So Rosati just says, can the discovery call accelerator also work for local businesses, like getting people on the phone to book gym intros? Yes, this is what we use for gyms, hands down. This works for anything, any type of business. Like if you're booking appointments, this is what we use, okay? So we just determined, though, that the VSL slow funnel is not economically awesome for most of you guys who are sitting in the room. So the discovery call accelerator is made up of the fast funnel, which is a 2-step post that gets people into the comments, that gets people into the DMs, and a power offer ad, which is power offer straight to an application. Okay. Now, what does that actually look like? Okay. Let's actually show you guys what this actually looks like. Okay. So what we're going to do now, I'll just kind of show you guys a couple of examples, right? My students use this. 3 calls, $11 a call, spent $1,700, calls booked 97, $401 in ad spend, $8,000 in sales, $10,000 month, 754 ad spend, $5,000 sale for a $10 call, $6 calls, just guys, story after story after story. As a matter of fact, I've got a Google Drive of success stories from the strategy that I'm showing you guys right now. So all we're doing is we're sending cold traffic to an indirect offer for a value bomb and a direct offer like a power offer. Okay. So your power offers can focus on the bigger problems that you solve or the 10 to 15 small problems that you solve. I recommend that you test both. Okay. But this will give us enough offers to actually test. Okay. So basically, this is how it works, right? You can run these Reels videos straight into Messenger, or you can get people to comment. Okay, 2 different ways, right? You can run them as engagement campaigns, or you can run them as messenger campaigns. As you can see, if you run them as messenger campaigns, Facebook and Instagram actually lets you automate that first diagnostic question. But these are all what they would look like: discovery call accelerator, stories that drive conversations, Reels that drive conversations. Now, for those of you guys who are using the Reels strategy, I'm going to point something out right now. A lot of times when you guys want me to help you troubleshoot your Reels videos, this is typically where I see people go wrong with them. As you guys can notice right here, if we're looking at this Reels video, a lot of you guys aren't using this video hook space, okay? How many of you guys sit there and watch Reels all day? I'm one of those people. I won't watch them all day, but if I open up Reels, I'm going to sit there probably for 20 minutes. It's a very big time suck. But you have to remember that people are watching Reels like this. You've got 2 seconds to keep someone's attention before they're moving on, right? If someone comes up on your Reels video and you do not have a video hook telling them why they should watch, they are likely just going to do this, unless your video is super compelling. And so what I tell my Lean on Laurel students is to optimize your Reels videos in these two ways. In your video hook, you can use the promise of value, like use this tactic to make your ads fail-proof in 2024, or you can use the CTA for the value bomb. Drop a bamboozle below if you want the free training. That's not the best hook for a CTA for a value bomb. I would even fuss at myself and say, Laurel, that's not good enough. But we want to get people to actually, so for instance, like if you're in the fitness space, one of the things I've been doing with a lot of my fitness clients right now is because people are in the holiday funk where they're like, oh, I'm going to wait for new year, new me in order to work out. And so the value bombs that we've been giving away is, hey, here, this holiday guide's helping my clients lose 5 pounds even during the Christmas break. Want it? But we're putting that as the hook headline at the top because we're letting people know, because either people are going to watch the video and see the call to action, or they're just going to see the video and be like, oh, I'm not going to watch the video, but I want that free guide. So that's why we have to make sure that we have those video hooks at the top, but we don't want them so far at the top that the Instagram and Facebook graphics are actually covering them up. Okay. So we want to make sure that our captions are about chest level, because a lot of you guys are even putting the captions way at the bottom, and the Instagram and Facebook graphics are covering up your captions. And so people aren't even able to read your captions. And so we want to make sure that the hook banner and the captions are in the right space. You guys would probably be surprised at how big of a difference this makes when it comes to getting people to respond to your Reels videos for those value bombs. Okay. Then when it comes to our power offer, there's something that's called the How It Works video, which by the way is in that guide that I gave you guys. If you go through the Get Ready protocol, I just updated the Get Ready protocol training with the ecosystem. And I made you guys, how many of you guys have found your way to the ROAS playbook? I literally outlined this entire strategy of the entire ecosystem from start to finish via Google Docs, so that you guys don't have to keep watching the videos. I do recommend you guys watch the videos though, right? The videos give a lot of depth to what the strategy is, but having the playbook is really key, because when you go to the playbook, you can actually see all of the scripts for each part of the process. And so inside the Hot 7, you're going to see something that's called the How It Works. And it is one of right now the best ways for us to promote a power offer. Because here's the thing. Have you guys noticed that everyone's utilizing the same basic power offer? You know, Joel Irway's power offer framework. Joel has sold over 10,000 of those workshops, right? And so right now, the market is very sophisticated to a traditional power offer. And so what I did was I took the basics of the power offer framework and I created kind of like a mini VSL template utilizing the same elements of the power offer. And I worked it into a How It Works script. And so it's a video script that literally goes through your entire framework from start to finish in true power offer framework style. And so this is something that we literally just run as a video ad straight to a Calendly link. We run those at $10 a day. These we run at $5 a day because it's an indirect offer. We're getting people to comment for a value bomb, whereas this we're sending people straight to an application. And so that's why we're able to book calls for super cheap, because we're not having to get people to go through an entire funnel. So that's why I call it the Discovery Call Accelerator, because we're able to actually get to those conversations so much faster than getting people to opt in to watch something. Now, one of the biggest questions that I get, a lot of people worry about getting someone's email address, like so many people. But guys, have you seen email open rates? Like they suck, especially like after all of those new rules. Now, I know a lot of you guys just heard me say, Laurel says not to use email. That's not what I said. But what I'm challenging your thought process on this is, People say, well, Laurel, it's costing me $5 or $6 to get a messenger conversation when I can get an email address for $1 or $2. Which would you rather, a messenger conversation or an email address? Be honest, there's no wrong answer. If you would rather an email address, that's cool. I honestly like messenger conversations because I could follow up with them instantly, right? And so does everyone understand why this works so well? Because we have about 30 minutes where we can actually jam on stuff like this. And if you guys are having issues with converting some of this stuff, like now's the time. I'm going to actually allow you guys to unmute yourselves. Let's see. I'm going to allow you guys to unmute yourselves so that I can take a gulp of coffee and rest my voice a little bit. Mike.
Yes, Laurel. So I'm about to launch a power offer ad tonight, and I know that you are sending them straight to the application. Now, do you still put in your training, you show a small application form? I think it's ads with Laurel's/app. So would you recommend to have that as a, like maybe a couple of testimonials or a headline that kind of takes the ad? Is that what you put in between the ad and the Calendly booking form?
I would try both.
Oh, straight to Calendly, or so test both?
I would test both if you have it. If not, don't let, like, if someone's listening to this and they're like, well, I don't have a landing page, I don't have this, then like just start off with the very right. We started this call off with just micro steps. What is the smallest micro step you can take? Is opening up Calendly, setting up a quick application and sending people straight to Calendly, right? But if you already have a landing page created, test both.
Okay. And then the purpose of adding you said it's a fast funnel plus a power offer. The purpose of having the power content with the value bomb for $5 a day in addition to the power offer is that so that people can see both and you build some credibility so that
I just want to make this clear. The power content is part of my ecosystem. It's not part of the Discovery Call Accelerator. I think you're confusing maybe the value bomb, which are the Reels videos, with content, because both have a value bomb in it.
Okay, so the power offers, you send them straight to the application, and then you combine that with the Reels that has a value bomb, correct?
Yeah, so the Reels videos that are, so a DM funnel, right, gives away an indirect offer, which is a freebie. So people are commenting for the freebie. In the power offer funnel, people are actually saying yes to your offer to work with you, right? So those are the differences between the two.
And you run them together because they help one another, or because they're just two different ways to get people to have conversations?
They're two different ways. They're two different ways, right? So if you think about this, and by the way, this is a really great question. The power offer is designed to get the 2 to 3% of people who are ready to buy right now. The value bomb, the DM funnel, is designed to get the 97 to 98% who are your ideal clients and to start that relationship with them.
Okay, so it's the fastest way to get access to your audience, both the very hot prospects and the ones who are your ideal but not ready to buy yet.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yep. Your DM funnels are built for volume. Your power offers are built for quality.
Got it. Thank you so much.
That's why the power offers are more expensive, right? Because they're conversion campaigns, whereas the DM funnels are engagement campaigns.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Anna.
Hey, Laurel, thank you so much. So if somebody, I have a webinar funnel, masterclass funnel, would you recommend to work with your system around that? And how would that work?
What do you mean?
Like, would you still do the masterclass, the webinar, or would you just ditch it and go for power content and slice the webinar into 3, as you said sometimes?
They're different parts of the ecosystem. Your webinar still fits. So if we go here, right? If we go and see the entire, let me get the okay. So if we look at my ecosystem, right?
Can we see your screen?
Yeah, that's what I'm pulling up.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
So if we're looking at the ecosystem, right? I think you guys are thinking that my ecosystem replaces a funnel. It does not. Look, this is the ecosystem. You see this? That's shaped like an L.
Uh-huh.
This is my ecosystem, right? This is the funnel, right? Everyone needs a way to generate leads, physical leads, right? If you need the highest amount of volume, you're going to use the DM funnel to cold traffic. If you have enough messenger conversations, you're going to use the power offer funnel straight to application. If you're getting 5 to 10 calls a day and need to add friction, then you're going to go to a VSL or webinar funnel. Do you guys understand that? Like my ecosystem does not replace a funnel. It's built around a funnel, because no matter whether you're using this DM funnel, this power offer funnel, or a VSL, it's going to have black holes in it. And so that's what the ecosystem is built to plug all of the black holes of this funnel. So so your question is, should you do this or that? It's not a this or, it's this and this, because the ecosystem is going to plug the black holes of your webinar funnel.
So in your messaging conversations, would you invite them to the webinar?
If I'm having a messenger conversation, I'm going to try to get them to get them to the phone call or to buy the thing. If they don't buy the thing, I'm going to invite them to the webinar.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, absolutely. Does everyone understand that though? That my ecosystem does not replace a funnel. It's built around a funnel. Okay. Tina and Dan.
Hey, Laurel.
Hey.
You mentioned before when you were giving an example for the banners at the top of the Reels video for the Messenger ads. You mentioned that I've been making banners for a while, and I've been working on making them better and better to get people to raise their hands. Can you give us an example now of how you'd make a banner with a call to action on it, as you would do now?
Yeah, I'll flash back on the photo that I showed you guys a while ago.
Thank you.
Yep, absolutely. So it would be like this. Is that what you're asking, or?
Yeah, you mentioned though when you pointed out drop a bamboozled below if you want the free training that you wouldn't do it exactly. You would do it a bit different.
Because my copy on this wasn't the best example, but I have a super warm audience, and my audience will raise their hand for fucking anything.
Okay.
Because I've been right. I mean, I don't have to. And this is why I tell everyone, building an audience is such a huge asset, because you don't have to be as clear in your offers. You don't have to, if you build an audience of people who trust you and like you don't have to work so hard with copy. But if I were to go to cold traffic, that would not work. My copy right there.
Yeah.
Like, it would literally have to be like, here's a worksheet that'll help you get 10 times your return on ad spend, want it. Like, it would have to be something super, super like clear in the problem that I'm solving.
Hey, Laurel, do you want to have a look at some of the conversion multipliers you made this morning and pull them apart?
We'll do that on Voxer.
Okay, we'll do that on Voxer. Loads in the last 10 days, and I was like, if only you were sitting here with us, you can just pull it all apart and go, stop putting that in there, make this color, do this, do that.
Yep, absolutely, yeah. And Amanda, some more added value. Like, Amanda's been with me a while. Like, Amanda knows my system so freaking good. She's been using it for years as well. She says that's an unspoken benefit of power content. You create an audience that trusts you enough for you not to be as good with the funnel pieces itself. Exactly. Like, I myself don't have a traditional funnel at all, right? And it's just like, to me, honestly, and as a matter of fact, I think this is going to be, I had a conversation with a woman yesterday who was interested in joining Lean on Laurel. And she asked me the question. She's like, Laurel, she's like, is there a certain price point that you would recommend people either run Facebook ads for a price point, or would you use another avenue? And I told her, I said, maybe it's because I come from television. For those of you guys who don't know, I started working in television in 2002. I kind of have a different frame around the way that I use Facebook ads. I don't use Facebook ads to sell stuff. Although it might appear that I do that, what I'm using Facebook ads for is honestly to level the playing field. Me coming from television, car dealerships and real estate agents used to have to pay tens of thousands of dollars every single month for me to run commercials for them, right? Running commercials for them was building up an audience, right? I use Facebook ads in order to build an audience. So the price point of what I'm selling is not relevant. I'm building an audience of people who will buy from me. It doesn't matter, right? Like if you look at my mentor, Nick sells multi-million-dollar deals, well, does them in Messenger, like without a phone call, without anything. Nick and I are selling a $40,000 product without a phone call. Like the price of stuff doesn't matter. And so the question isn't whether or not you can use Facebook ads to sell, quote, a certain price point. I'm using Facebook ads and YouTube ads in order to build an audience of people who will know, like, and trust me. So if you guys stop thinking of Facebook ads as the sales mechanism and start using it as the audience building mechanism, it becomes so much easier. Does that make sense to everybody? Like, stop looking at, because the Facebook ad is not a conversion mechanism. What happens after the Facebook ad is a conversion mechanism. The Facebook ad itself is not a conversion mechanism. And so once you get past thinking of Facebook ads as a conversion mechanism, it seems to become a lot easier for marketers, because it's what happens after the Facebook ad. Your conversation is a conversion mechanism. Your sales page is a conversion mechanism. Your funnel is a conversion mechanism. But Facebook, the job of the Facebook ad itself is not to convert. The job of a Facebook ad is to get people onto the conversion mechanism. So hopefully that makes sense. Just like back in the day, my commercial on television, right? People weren't buying cars from the television commercial. The television commercial was getting people to the car dealership, and the car salesman was the conversion mechanism to get people to buy cars. Does that make sense? So we didn't have any metrics in television that was saying this commercial got 5 car sales. That's silly to even think about that. So that's the way that I wrap my head around Facebook ads and YouTube ads. Is I'm not looking at it as a conversion mechanism. I'm just looking at it as a traffic source to drive traffic to a conversion mechanism. Okay. So hopefully that just kind of makes things a little bit more clear. Jessica.
Hey there, Laurel. I have a question. Just well, I'm trying to get 100 conversations a week. I'm using the warm audience for that, and I'm not getting any comments. So I've tried about 50. I'm not to 90 yet. My goal is to at least do 3 videos a week, and I'm struggling because sometimes I do want an email over a conversation since I'm not getting a conversation. So I wonder,
why do you want the email?
well, I'm just like, I guess in my mind, maybe because my videos aren't good and I'm trying to think like it's the problem is
but why do you want the email? That's the question. Like, why do you think that the email is doing more good than someone watching a video for 100% of the time, right?
I guess my problem is I'm having, and this is maybe I don't know if it's a question, or maybe my question is, can you give me some reassurance that this is going to work if I keep trying? Because I have these.
Can I give you at least two examples that happened to me over the last couple of days, right?
Okay.
So does everyone know that there's like a freaking spam folder in your Facebook Messenger? Like, I recently discovered that, and there was like literally all of these people who've been watching my content for a really long time sitting there wanting to join Lean on Laurel, right? And so the other day, as a matter of fact, he joined LOL yesterday. There was a guy, fitness coach, and he messaged me and he said, "Hey, Laurel, I'm in so-and-so's program and I'm running his short funnel." And I was like, "Oh yeah," I was like, "I'm very familiar with it. It's pretty much a strategy that I use in my program." And he's like, "Okay, good." He's like, I was like, "Well, tell me about your numbers." And he gave me all of his numbers. And I said, "Here's what I recommend for that." And I gave him a Google document. And he's like, "Well, can you explain XYZ?" And I said, "Oh, sure." And I sent him a Loom video and I was like, "Hey, if you go and launch this ad, you're going to do XYZ, right?" And so he was like, "Wow." He's like, "I have never met anyone who was just so helpful and like didn't try to get me on a phone call." right? So day before yesterday, I want to say it was day before yesterday. Here, I'll actually show you guys this because I want to give you guys some like, if I go to, dang it, it won't let me, let's see, Instagram.com. Let me see if it'll just go to my page without me having to sign in. I probably need to sign in, but can you guys, oh, it's not gonna let me, let's see. Oh yeah, here we go. This one right here, right? You see this right here, this screenshot right here? He closed, ended up being 52x ROAS, all said and done. Share this on your social if you want, okay? I literally just gave him that playbook that I was telling you guys about that's in the $7 program. I said, look, I said, here's the deal. Lean on Laurel. Like, I was like, I honestly, like, I have a wait list. I was like, but honestly, if you just went and did this thing out of this playbook, I was like, the scripts for the ads there. And he was like, I can't believe, he's like, you didn't try to get me on a call. You didn't try to do this. And he went and did it and got 52 times his return on ad spend, came back to me and was like, will you please take me in Lean on Laurel? And I was like, well, as a matter of fact, you actually did the work. And so I'm going to move you to the top of the wait list. And so another one yesterday, she also joined yesterday. I did the same thing. I was like, look, I'm on a wait list. Here's everything that you need. Give this to your assistant. And she's like, I understand. She's like, but for some reason, you just make me feel more confident. I want your eyes on all of my stuff. All I'm doing is showing up and being helpful to people. But here's the thing. I had never seen these two people ever. I had never had a conversation with them. But what I didn't know is they've been watching my videos on YouTube. They've literally been consuming all of my content. And I will say this, most of the people that come to me and pay me the most money, that is always the situation. They've never had a conversation with me. They just sit and they watch. And then when they're ready, they reach out to me directly on Messenger. They don't convert on an ad. They don't do anything like that. And so it's proof that this strategy works, right? Because I'm going to ask you guys the question. I'm going to actually ask this to everybody. Someone poke holes in this strategy. How would this not work over time? Like, how would this not work?
In the short term, I would say that people are too shy to leave a comment because they think you're going to reach out.
Mm-hmm. Why? Because market sophistication, right? But what if you showed up every day and proved them different otherwise? Would they be more apt to comment on your stuff if they knew that you weren't going to just sell them once they had a conversation with you?
How do you do that? I mean, how do you get them to comment so that...
Show up every day and just give your heart out in content and don't ask for anything in return. That's what power content is built to do, right? It's like show up like every single day. I literally just show up. I mean, I've been kind of sucky at it because of the holidays, but like I just go live and I just show people the cool shit I'm doing, not expecting anything like in return. If you consistently show up and prove that you're not just a salesperson, people are going to start paying attention and they're going to come to you.
Can I ask one more? Can I ask? I don't know if I have a specific question, but I'm trying to get like the use the ecosystem. Like I said, I'm really following it, but I don't get any comments. One thing I heard you say today is maybe having the it go to Messenger with the 3 different options. I don't know if that would change my success with it. Does that make sense?
What is your offer?
Yeah, so I asked you earlier if it was partner shuts down and won't communicate. That's the problem that I saw.
Mm-hmm.
The offer ultimately is one-to-one coaching to build my group program eventually.
That's not your offer. That's what you sell.
Okay.
My
offer
is the solution. Yes.
Okay. Get your partner to communicate without shutting down.
Okay. So what are some smaller problems that you solve for your audience? Right?
Sure,
so
sure.
One of my most successful students who's in your same space is by far, like, she helps partners communicate, and you've probably heard me give this example before. One of her most valuable value bombs is a script to say when her husband walks through the door before he gets to the fridge with the beer. Here are 3 things that you can tell your husband that will immediately get his attention and spend the rest of the night with you. It's like little things like that, because a lot of you guys are just going really broad, like lack of communication with a partner. That's a very broad problem. Like what are like very specific scenarios in which that's happening, to where, because at the end of the day, when people are scrolling, you have to remember white noise, right? And especially because think about this, what happens when you click on someone's ad? Facebook shows you 5 or 6 more ads in this of people that are competitors, right? And so anytime someone's watching one of your videos, your competitors' ads are going to show up in front of your ideal clients, right? The more that we can get people to stop the scroll and say, this is me and I need to watch this video, the more proof that we can give that we can solve their specific problem. Because think about this. And I really want you guys to really pay attention to what I'm about to say. Most of the people that you are marketing to have already paid to solve the problem that you solve. Do you think that that's a pretty accurate statement? That in some capacity, someone has paid already to solve that problem, okay? What our job is to do in these situations, because guys, let's face it, AI has taken over. People are swiping people's stuff and just reclaiming it as their own. Market is saturated. Here's where we can make ourselves stand out. We have to answer this question. Everyone write this down. If every single piece of content you do, if you include this statement right here, you're going to win. Because people have already paid for some type of solution that you offer. Guarantee it. They've either bought it as a $27 offer, they've went to therapy, they've done something to try to solve this problem. Your content needs to express this one thing. How will this time be different? If you can answer that question in every single piece of your content, you will win. How will this time be different? You'll win. And if you show up consistently over and over again, you will win. Like, if you think about the way, especially like if you have a high ticket offer, how many of you guys have ever bought a high ticket offer? Okay. If you go back and you think about the way that you bought that high ticket offer, it's probably not, I mean, some of you might have. I don't buy high ticket offers from a webinar. I don't buy high ticket offers from a phone call. As a matter of fact, phone calls are the most inconvenient for people who are highly sophisticated. Honestly. The way that I buy high ticket offers is I just go fucking buy it. I don't want to be put on a phone call. Like if I am clear enough on, like I was hiring for something like a very specific project, and people kept wanting to bring me on a phone call when I knew exactly what I wanted. And I was like, just send me the link to freaking pay. Like sometimes you guys make it so hard for sophisticated buyers to buy from you because you want to funnel them through so many things. When a lot of sophisticated buyers just want the freaking link. They just want to buy. But what causes a sophisticated buyer to buy is not a funnel, is not, quote, a whole trail of emails. It's they see something, it's clear, they stalk you for a little bit longer, and then they message you and they say, how do I pay? And you're like, who the hell is this person? Where'd they come from? Right? Would you guys agree? I mean, does anyone want to like poke holes in what I just said? It's true. Like I hear this all the time at masterminds. They're like, I don't want to get on a strategy call or anything. They're like, I'm ready to buy this thing, you know? But that's how sophisticated buyers buy. They don't get on strategy calls. They don't do this. They're just like, send me the link. It just takes time. Like Jessica, how long are you into your online journey?
In your program, like a year.
Yeah. So Nick said something at the event. Actually, I think he said it on a Success Circle call. I think Tina was there. He had dinner, and this isn't a political thing, but Nick had dinner with RFK Jr. and Tucker Carlson and Jordan Peterson. And they were talking about like how brave you have to be as a politician because of the scrutiny that, you know, that you're under. And they asked Jordan Peterson, like, you're so brave. And he's like, I'm not brave. He was like, if you look at things from a longer timeline, he's like, I could either be everyone's villain for the next week, or I could have the life that I want in the next 2 years and keep my dignity and say whatever it is in my freedom of speech. He's like, not having freedom of speech is more scarier than being everyone's villain for a week. And so if you translate that into the online marketing space, what's scarier for you guys? Going live every day and having your friends and family laugh at you, or 2 years down the road still being in a 9-to-5 job that you absolutely fucking hate? So sometimes when we have fear, if we expand the timeline, sometimes that helps us kind of see like the long-term goal. Like, Jessica, you're only in this for a year. Do you want to know how shitty my business was even a year into the entire process? Does everyone know that I'm 7 years in? Like, my business turns 7 in April. Like I'm going to be 7 years in. And so if you look at what my business looked like, it probably looked very similar to yours right now, Jessica. And so you just have to like every single day, like just show up. And I know it's easier said than done because I'm at a place where I can say it. And it wasn't easy for me to say it at the time when my business was in a year. I had barely just left my job. I was still working a full-time job almost a year into starting my business. And so for me, sometimes I think, you know, and it's easier to say that, but when I look back, I was like, man, it was so fucking hard a year into my business. Like my business was a shit show a year in. Nothing was consistent.
I appreciate you taking the time so much. Thank you so much. Hey, do you have any suggestions? Maybe other people have this question, to go into other groups and do power content kind of thing. Like, I know you did that early in your journey.
Yeah. So this was actually a little trick that I used to do back in the day. I used to go into people's groups, but I wouldn't post power content as a post. Here's what I would do. I would actually go into groups and I would search for specific problems. And so like if you go into Facebook groups, and I like to do this in groups that I know people have paid to enter, you know, like if they bought a $27 thing, I like to look for groups where I know people are invested in finding this solution. And then what I do is I type in the search bar Facebook ads or YouTube ads, and then it categorizes all the people who are asking questions about Facebook ads. And I just go and I'm like, which people did not get a really good answer? And I'll go on my business page or my YouTube channel and I'll answer that person's question. And then I'll go into the Facebook group and post it as a comment on that person's question. Why do I want that? Because one, I'll get my retargeting audiences in place. But more importantly, people are like, whoa, that girl just answered that question so freaking thorough. Let me go check out her profile. And then my profile is optimized for when people are visiting my profile, they can see within 5 seconds what I do and how I can help them. That's that's the true group strategy. A lot of people are like, group strategy doesn't work anymore. It does if you do it the right way, because a lot of times people just try to go and spam other people's groups. But if you do that and just be helpful and answer people's questions and not ask for anything in return, like don't message me, like don't put any calls to action, like message me or anything, because people are just going to go and click on your profile anyway, especially if you give a really great answer. Yeah. Great questions. Is this call helpful today for you guys? Stefan, or is it Stefan? I forget. You told me last call. I am so sorry.
It's Stefan. And
Stefan. Oh yeah, because I was like, yeah, Stefan is fun. And you're like, yeah, it's Stefan.
this is really one of the best calls I've been on. Not that none of your other calls have been good, but this is just phenomenal. You put a lot of stuff in perspective. So Thank you for that. I will definitely watch
I
the
was a little worried today because I was a little bit off the cuff, but I was like, you know what? I want to just solve their problems today. I don't want to just present to them more information. Like, I just want to come in and just solve everyone's problems today.
No, you did that times 10. My quick question is to you, and I know you kind of went over this on the last conversations and cocktails or whatever. So if we're doing the one where it's $10 a day, you're putting a little video and then they're just booking straight to the calendar. After they book the call, would you recommend, like, if we have a VSL or webinar, like we redirect that to right after they book the call to that video, so they watch the video before they have the call?
Yeah, so that's a really great question. So my clients who come to me and if they're concerned about quality, I will have them do that. I will have them send a VSL to confirm the phone call, if and only if they don't need the practice. Because if they need the practice of sales calls and going through their sales, presentation, or just working on their sales skill, I want as least amount of friction as possible. And I want as many people to show up to that call, qualified or not, as possible. So it really just depends on where you are in that journey.
Yeah. All right. Perfect.
Yep, absolutely. So Sanders just asked, since messenger conversations expire in 24 hours with ads, how do we continue? Is that true? I haven't found that to be true. I know 7 days, I think I think is the thing. I've never seen them expire within 24 hours. So I just want to confirm that nothing's changed since the last time I've done that. Let's see. Farah says, can you bring clarity to which strategy I should use as a financial services professional? I sell infinite banking policies. Should I follow your ecosystem or your real estate agent? So here's a little tidbit. It's all the same strategy. I just make like real estate, like if you look at the real estate ecosystem, it's the exact same thing as the ecosystem I just showed you guys. I just sometimes make special ones because people get nervous. Well, I'm a real estate agent, I'm a brick and mortar, but honestly, the ecosystem looks exactly the same. Tisha says it's a swipe down that makes them disappear. You can make that feature go away. Oh, is that the disappearing message thing in Instagram that you guys are talking about? So one of the things when you're having messenger conversations, because I know a lot of people are like, man, people go really, like, they ghost me after I start having a messenger conversation. Here's the way that I like to have messenger conversations. I literally act as if someone has just walked through my office door right here and that they've handed me $500 to solve their most immediate problem. And if you go back, like if you're someone who's having messenger conversations and you're having issues, I'm going to tell you after this call, go back and look at it from that frame. If someone were to walk into your office, would you have that messenger conversation the exact same way that you wrote it? Because I think that, like, just reframing it like that, like I was showing one of my Lean on Laurel students on Thursday, his messenger conversation wrote really weird. And I was like, do you see how robotic this is? I was like, if someone walked into your office, is this the conversation that you would actually have? And I'm funny sometimes on Voxer. I pretended that I was having the conversation in real time. I pretended to be him and I pretended to be the client. And I was like, let me read how this actually would sound in real life. And he was like, oh my God, that sounds ridiculous. I was like, well, then why did you write it in a messenger conversation? Would you talk like that in real life? And he was like, no. And so, like, if you kind of like reframe all of your messenger conversations and take a look at them and be like, another reframe is when you're having a messenger conversation, let's say you see someone in Starbucks trying to, like, I'll use Jessica as an example, right? If Jessica walks into Starbucks or happy hour, let's have fun at 9 o'clock in the morning. Let's say you walk into happy hour, 9 a.m., drinking a Bloody Mary, and you see a person at the bar and she's got a YouTube video up, and the YouTube video says how to have more meaningful conversations with your spouse. And you're like, holy shit, this is my ideal client. What would you say when you tapped that person on the shoulder? How would you start that conversation? What would you say to get her attention at the bar when she's like sitting there watching that? And so, like, as you're looking at your messenger conversations, like, think about, like, is this the way that I would have this conversation in real life? Daniel, bring us home.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. I have a question.
Yeah.
So when I run specific ads to I was running my ads to book a call on Calendly, and now I've been doing that where they just have to send me a message, and I feel like my CTAs are higher than 3, and when I do the book a call, they're below 3, and I feel like I have a better understanding of the person before I hop on the phone with them. Is that cool?
Yeah, like you're having a conversation before the phone call?
Yeah, and then I send him the link. Then I send them the link to my Calendly, which triggers my Pixel, which is the same thing ultimately at the end of the day, correct?
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's perfectly okay. As a matter of fact, that's the way that I recommend it when you have a low budget to do it that way.
Okay, cool.
I will always have messenger conversations before booked calls.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. All righty. Good calls today. I am out of coffee. Everyone knows what happens when I'm out of coffee, and that means the call is over. But I hope that you guys enjoyed having coffee with me this morning. I know it wasn't as fun as a cocktail, but we'll do that later on this month. But yeah, you guys are very welcome. Yeah, if you guys want to take me up on what we talked about at the beginning of the call before I started recording, for those of you guys who want a little bit more time with me, yeah, just hit me up and we'll talk about it. But hope you guys have an amazing week. Hope you guys had a very amazing holiday season, and I'll see you guys. If you guys have not registered for the Blitz, we're going to be doing more of this. So if you guys want to be on the next Ads Blitz, it's literally all of this. Just go to adswithlaurel.com/blitz. And it's a troubleshooting and optimizing blitz. So we will spend 2 days doing exactly what we did today. So if you guys want additional help optimizing and troubleshooting those ads, let me know. Just go and grab a seat. I think we have a couple of seats left. But yeah, let's do this. Let's rock going into 2025. I'll see you guys later.